He was in the forefront of arguing that ours was not a lost generation, that we chose the struggle and therefore contributing to the first generation of national youth policy in South Africa, which saw the emergence of the National Youth Commission and eventually the Umsobombo Youth Fund. As Treasurer General of the ANC Youth League, he made it his job to not only understand about raising and managing resources for the immediate programs of the Youth League, but also the need to invest in the future sustainability of the League.
A generation of young lions personified by the life and times of its former Treasurer General Thabo Masebe, a gallant freedom fighter who abhorred slogans without meaning and empty rhetoric. Former ANC Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe says Masebe learned from the best generation that gave birth to our freedom, led by Oliver Reginald Tambo.
These stalwarts of the 1940s were proud of the young lions and saw in the young lions a continuation of their own fire and passions, and therefore a sense of mutual respect developed. This alone may be said. The generation of Comrade Thabo Masebe learned from the best and were mentored by the best, and they learned at the knees of the 1944 youth leaguers. This is the historical context that shaped Comrade Thabo Masebe. Comrade Thabo Masebe possessed many qualities that cannot be quickly catalogued, but it was hard not to notice that he was warm-hearted and driven, fueled by his innate sense of empathy, love, and dedication for his people.
Motlanthe also said Masebe left this earth at a time when South Africa and the ANC were faced with a number of challenges.
Comrade Thabo leaves us at a time when his political home, the African National Congress, and our country are facing unprecedented difficulties, as well as the stubborn issues of poverty, unemployment, land hunger, food insecurity, energy insecurity, crime and corruption, to name a few. We, as his extended family, acknowledge that overcoming these difficulties and achieving the renewal of the organization requires unity of purpose, honesty, integrity, humility, and collective responsibility, because conceit and complacency are the arch enemies of unity.
Motlanthe says the youth must reconnect with its founding leaders and the Young Lions generation as a way to honor Masebe's legacy.
We encourage the youth to connect with that which came before, and we embolden them to roar across the landscape of this great continent to lead us from the front. The best way to train young people is to give them responsibility. Failure to do that is nothing but an excuse. That is the least we can do to honor the memory of Comrade Thabo Masebe.
Flo Masebe recalled how her brother was forever present in her life without any complaints.
He was my brother, he was my hero, he was my best friend. He's the kind of guy that would have killed the bull for me. On an occasion, or maybe two, he has dumped boyfriends for me when he did not deem them proper to be in my life. And there was no discussion afterwards. He dumped them. We were done. This man loved us. This man loved his children. Every other week, we would have the cookouts, and we would sit and just get together for no reason.
Dad, we just want to say thank you for being a great father, for giving us the love and support and all the great things you did for us. You send us to the best school, and as we stand here, we know that you are not forever gone, because everything that you were, your legacy still lives in me and Chami. We will be the great human beings that we are supposed to be because you taught us well. We will forever honor you as your sons and make you proud.
Thabo Masebe is survived by his two sons, Chamano and Moitepe Masebe, and his sibling, Flo Masebe. The ANC has called on its youth league members to live up to the legacy and memory of Masebe. Kgalema, SABC News, Kempton Park.
Well-seasoned government communicator Thabo Masebe has been remembered as an experienced, versatile and diligent public servant. Masebe passed away earlier this week. Let's get more on this. We now welcome Pumla Williams, who's the Deputy Director General of GCIS. A very warm welcome to you, Pumla. Thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Flo, and thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. Yeah, a lot of praises, and I mean, we've just heard now in the clip that we played just before talking to you, a lot of praises have been sang about Mr. Masebe. Talk to us about how you will remember him as not only a colleague, but also as, I imagine, someone that you knew quite closely, even as a friend.
Thank you very much. You know, Flo, we laid Thabo to rest today, but one of the things that is remarkable that I would want to share with South Africans, it's very rare to find every tribute, whether from the media, from government, from political affiliation, saying almost similar things about the man. I think the tributes were so in line with how I got to know Thabo, a humble man, a consistent man. What you see is what you get, a dedicated person who loved working for his country. I think for me, I think Thabo undertook work in the public service as work for this country, not for a salary. I'm certain that, yes, he was getting paid, but he used to perform his duties in a manner that he felt when he goes to sleep, he would say, you know, I made a mark today in changing the lives of South Africans. So I think we would want to remember Thabo in that way. But importantly, Flo, I think the tributes, as I listened to them, even during the week at home, from today in the funeral, the memorial service, it's something that a lot of young government communicators should reflect and see what is it that they can do to clone themselves into performing the work that they do. That one thing that Thabo is leaving is that government communicators should never see the media as the enemy. And government communicators should never see communication as speaking, as spinning. It should be the work that they do to be truthful, to be consistent, and to understand the word public servant, that they are there to serve and to serve the public. And I think if they can be able to just learn some of those basics from Thabo, I think we would have a better country and we would have a better public service communicators in going forward, because I think that's what for me is living. And I want to also use the opportunity to thank the family. I think the family has allowed us to heal, to accept the departure of Thabo in our midst by celebrating his life.
Yeah, and let's talk about, his political career, which didn't just start, as something that just happened. I mean, he was always in politics, and in his younger days, of course, being part of the Youth League. I mean, we heard from some of the speakers talking about that glorious generation, that made South Africa ungovernable to usher in the freedom that we have now. Let's talk about that his early days in politics, and at what point did you meet, and what kind of leader during those days was he that made him, what we know today?
I think the tributes, especially during his young days, are things that I think we need to carry, particularly for the young people. Thabo, young as he was in the Youth League, he knew that the system of apartheid is wrong. He may have been having a limited knowledge of the politics, but I think Thabo gave himself to understand that the kind of young people, the environment in which they were growing up is not the environment that is conducive for a non-racial society. And he started at a very early age to participate in the student politics because he wanted all the best for the young South Africans. So I think for me, what we've learned today, and even in tributes, is that Thabo, from a very young age, he was a very principled young man who had a mission, who was even so committed to even take some of his colleagues. I think we heard today that Thabo even sacrificed his own education for the cause of getting South Africa free and having an equal education system for all South African children. So that's the Thabo that we are living. We had the Premier telling us that he was the beneficiary of the bursary scheme that Thabo was running, in making sure that, yes, he may not have gone to the university, but he attributed the importance of education for the young South Africans. So she actually did contribute even for the education system. We had his sons that our father wanted nothing but the best. She sent them to the best schools because he appreciated that education is a key. So I think you can speak the whole day on some of the things. We had the Youth League, the former Youth Leaguers, who were telling us that how Thabo contributed in the debates, in how Thabo contributed in memorializing some of the statue of Hector Peterson. So it almost like you can go on, and I hope that the family and some of his comrades will write up, because it's a history that needs to be appreciated by young people who are still navigating through changing the lives of the young people and changing the country.
All right, Ms. Phumla Williams, thanks very much for giving us your time here on SABC News. We certainly do extend our condolences to you as his colleagues and certainly the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Flo.
All right, that is Phumla Williams, Deputy DG of GCIA.